Hello and welcome to Business Hub, your one-stop business mart where we bridge the gap between business owners and their target markets. My name is Omobolanle Adeshui, and today on Business Hub, we would be delving into the world of training, learning, and capacity building. And I have someone in the studio this evening who would be doing justice to that. He is David Olayiwola, CEO, Fortune World Consulting. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks. Really happy to be here.
So what do you do at Fortune World Consulting?
Well, we do human capital training, and this has to do with training people in the SME, and we also have modules that has to do with the education sector, and we do young entrepreneurs training as well. That's people that are just dabbling into businesses of their own. We also do some kind of trainings for people, young graduates from school that are preparing for white collar jobs. Okay. Basically, we are people oriented, and we do different types of soft skill trainings for.
So when you talk about soft skill training, what exactly are you talking about?
Well, trainings that has to do with capacity building for people generally, as in cutting across different spheres of life and different industries.
So what made you go into this industry?
Well, very fantastic question. I starting up life, I'll say I've worked all my life. I was working and schooling in the same vein, and I have 11 years teaching experience.
Wow.
And before I did that, I had a diploma in education, and then I was teaching. Now, there are some problems and challenges that I identified during my teaching life. And after that, I got a degree in accounting. Then I moved into the financial industry. After that, I spent apparently 9 years in the financial industry, about 6 or 7 years in the banking, then 2 years in insurance. Now, bringing all of these, my experiences together, I was able to identify some challenges and things that has to be like some pain points that I identified in those two industries. Now, so when I decided to start working for myself, as passion moved me, the problems that I've identified in all of this industry, and especially in the financial industry, you tend to work with a lot of people, different sector, different type of businesses. So the challenges identified generally are what I've over time with a team of people we're working together develop solutions for.
So can you tell us some of these challenges and how you've been able to proffer solutions to them?
Okay, maybe I need to take it firstly from the one that we are majorly doing awareness for now, which we have been doing series of trainings for, engaging different schools in recent times, let me say in the last 2-3 months, and that's concentration on the education sector. You and I, we agree that there have been a lot of loopholes and decadence in the education sector, especially in this part of the world, Nigeria typically. So we do trainings basically to equip the teachers and educators in this sector to get better in what they do, because we've seen that a lot of people have actually taken up the teaching profession because latching on the problem, the unemployment problem that seems to be ever increasing in Nigeria.
Okay, so now in the course of trying to train people, there's this saying that people are very resistant to change. Yeah. How have you been able to deal with that resistance?
Well, it's a big one, and especially that's in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria, coming down to Ibadan, because we've done quite a number of trainings like that when we started off in Lagos. Coming down to Ibadan, one of our major challenge is just the question that you are talking about. We need to take time a lot to educate school owners and business owners generally, for them to see reason or the need for all of these trainings, even though we can a lot of time identify and pinpoint those things that seems to be the challenges they go through. They can crystal clear see it, but most time they have this kind of regimented mindset that trainings or soft skill training or human capital development training is for the blue chips, that they can't afford it. So this is one of the major challenges we face. We educate them, and then when they buy into it, that's when they engage us in training them.
Okay, so talking about training teachers, what exactly is the reason for the focus on teachers?
Okay, to answer that question, I may have to talk about a bit of our pragmatic models that we are actually deploying to equip them better. And firstly, I'm going to start from the survey. We call it employee satisfaction feedback.
Okay.
The employee satisfaction feedback, it's a survey that we apply, and the way we administer the employee satisfaction survey, we make it anonymous feedback, and when this is being administered, we give an orientation to all the teachers that will be engaged before we do that, making them to understand that this is not a witch hunting survey. We just want to know the true nature and the reflection of what is going on in the school or the place they found themselves as a workplace. And this survey cut across the administrative structure, the leadership style, the remuneration and the reward system, the work-life balance, the general working condition. Then it also gives room for comments and suggestion on things that needs to be changed or things that needs to be improved on in their workplace. Now, we don't actually hand over the entire questionnaire of the survey to the owners of the school or the administrator of the school. From that, we draw an inference, we deduce out some major points that we use to advise them professionally, and then from that they will be able to know that these are the things that need to do to get better. That's on the survey. Now, still on that, most of the time when we administer the survey, the fallout of the survey brings out some pain points and major challenges that we need to focus on by the time we're engaging them in the models. So that's number one. Then I also want to talk about the peak performance training for teachers and educators. Now, the major focus of this is to help teachers come to a realization and the mentality of taking the teaching profession as a real profession, and not just as a job that will fall back on or just to put food on their table or to pay their bills. Now, because like I said before, we have a serious unemployment problem in Nigeria, and everybody that didn't go to school to study anything in education, didn't actually have passion for teaching, they've resulted into teaching because the laxity in the public schools or education system have given room for many private schools to spring up, and springing up, you by your street you can have up to many schools. Then everybody seems to get it.
But do you think the government has a role to play in all of this, though? Because the government is also supposed to certify that, okay, these teachers are qualified to train the students, because eventually the students we churn out will determine the kind of society we build.
Well, that's the problem. The government really have big role to play in this, and I know many of them will be listening to us out there, people that are in places of decision to influence things better. There is a lot to play, and this starts from the percentage of budget that is being allocated to the education sector compared to what is being recommended by
the United Nations.
You will know that it's far more. The rate is infinitesimal, and you know that there is no way, without funding, there is no way we can get better in that sector. So government really have a role to play.
So are you working with some sort of government parastatal to help boost your training process?
Yes, we have submitted a couple of proposals to the local government inspectors, and we've done a couple of engagement, and we are hoping to get good feedback. But
Okay.
in that space, we were only working to serve our fatherland, not for the purpose of charging fees or wherever. In the
Okay.
private sector, you know that they are there. It's basically a profit oriented sector, so we're going to charge them not something outrageous. But for the public sector, we most of the trainings that we're going to do is going to be in the space of giving back to the society, so we are pushing that as well.
So for the private sector, is it affordable? Because we have to look at affordability too. You know how the economy is, and everyone is trying to make sure that they do not have to eventually live from hand to mouth.
Yes, I get what you're saying. What we charge currently, it's very reasonable, and if I have to say that on the average for now, because our trainings, let me say we are new in Ibadan, and so what we charge on the average of a school of a staff strength of 20, for a 2 days intensive training sessions, we just do 50,000 naira only.
Okay.
If your staff strength is above that, we work out the modalities around that.
All right, we'll take a short break. It is still Business Hub right here on Impact Africa Television, and we're discussing with David Olayiwola, CEO, Fortune World Consulting. Welcome back. It's still Business Hub on Impact Africa Television. I'm still speaking with David Olayiwola, and he is the CEO of Fortune World Consulting. Okay, so we've talked about some of the challenges you faced when it comes to training people, but let's move into the business consulting aspect. How do you carry out your analysis or evaluation when it comes to businesses?
Well, generally, we do that kind of evaluation in the SME space. Now, it depends on what we are looking at per time.
Okay.
If we want to engage them on sales, like there is this property company we engage sometimes last year, and they were having challenges around their sales. So it depends on the concentration as a whole. It's quite cumbersome and a bit difficult to say we want to do a general evaluation as a whole. You may have to do it in different sector, looking at different areas, then you can put all of this together. So if we are looking at the sales, for example, we may need to engage some of their clients. We may need to engage, in fact we have to engage all of their sales staff and all that, and then the feedback that we get from all of that we determine. Then we also need to engage their product guys to know what they have in mind designing this product. Is this product actually meant or fit into the targeted customers and all that? So having reviewed all of that, it's what we now give back to the training that we're going to engage their members of staff on. Then if it has to do with customer experience, sometimes we have to engage them on customer experience training. We need to engage some kind of evaluation survey on their customer facing staff, and then we get to know how the feedback that they get from their customers and all of that. Now, so putting together all of that, we determine the kind of training that we are going to engage them in.
But why do you? Because a lot of experts have talked about the fact that business owners are not usually open to training their staff because they're thinking of the cost, or because they're thinking, oh, if I train them, they would leave. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think it's because of how the business consulting sector has been over time. You will see that many of even people that we see as mentors in the business consulting space, they seems to target the blue chips alone. So an average person that is doing that is starting up as SME in Nigeria still believe that business consulting or trainings is meant for the blue chips, or or the multinationals. But the thing is, many other business consultants are springing up now that their focus is not just on the multinationals, looking at the SMEs. And another important thing, while I will also preach the gospel of focusing on SME for business consultancy and soft skill training generally, if you check every thriving nation and countries economically, the pivotal sector that makes them thrive is the SME and the private sector. So there is a lot to do in that space, and training and learning is infinite, so that can never be overemphasized. So there's a lot to deal on that, and it has to do with engaging the owners and the runners, promoters of the business often and often, to get them understand the need for this.
So what do you think is the problem? Is it that they have this mindset of, oh, I don't want to spend on training the staff, or what exactly is the problem?
Well, it depends on the orientation and the exposure, the level of understanding of running a business of
The business owner.
or let me say the board of directors, as the case may be. If it has to do with a one-man business or partnership or whatever, the decision will be solely on one person or two persons. And if it has to do with quite a big company, it falls on the desk of the board of directors. So it depends on their level of exposure and how they place importance on learning. So I want to believe that for every organization that see learning as an infinite thing, they will place a very good premium on learning and development, and give attention to training a lot. But I would say for the corporate world in Nigeria, as in looking at the blue chips and the multinationals, to an extent we can still give them about 50 or thereabouts, but to companies that fall in the SME, basically the sole man proprietorship and all that, which sometimes you see them do turnovers in millions. Not that they cannot afford the training,
trainings,
but because of their regimented and myopic mindset of training is for the blue chips and the multinationals, they seems not to engage it.
So do you do some sort of reorientation for them?
In fact, once we submit a proposal, the next thing we do is to book an appointment with the CEO, and then we try to engage them. And most times what we do in order to get their attention is the administration of the survey. Like I said, we do that free. Now what we are trying to say is just like a doctor. The doctor is saying, I know you're sick, you have this disease, but you don't want to agree with me because you feel I'm looking okay, I go to work, I do my business and everything is fine. But the doctor is saying, okay, I'm going to come with my gadgets and I'm coming with my medical equipment, I will test you for free. Now, what I diagnose will determine if you are going to engage my services or not. So that's what we do with the administration of the survey. We come to administer the survey free, and by the time we have the fallout of the survey, they can see crystal clear for themselves what are the pain points in their system, and then we engage them further from there. And from that point, any reasonable business owner that wants to up his game or take the business to the next level wouldn't have any option than to
So
engage
how
ourselves.
lucrative is this business? Because, well, fortune sounds like something that has a lot of fortunes.
If I tell you the story behind Fortune World Consulting, no, let's go there. That's a story for another day. Now, lucrative. I will not say lucrative. You need to build your brand over time, and that's exactly what we are doing. We will not say it's lucrative, quote and unquote, but by the time you have built your brand to a large extent, then you name your price. You name your price. I was watching, I don't know, a couple of people must have seen it. There's this trainer I saw that is a South African that he said he names his price. If you want to engage him, all he's going to tell you is speak to my P or my secretary. This is my price, no going back, because it seems to be the number one training in that trainer, sorry, in that industry. So once you have built your brand to that extent, that's where you can say it's lucrative, quote and unquote.
Okay, so being a life coach, what would you say are some of the challenges you faced?
Well, the word life coach seems to be new in Nigeria and this part of the world. Like one of my mentors said sometimes ago, we're in a class and it was just a class of life coaches and all that. We have so many other mentors in the industry came around and they were giving us orientation about it. He said the first time he was engaging somebody, a well-educated person and all that, he said, I'm a life coach. He said, which football club? So it sounds funny, but that's not just it. But the thing is, because it's new here in the Western world, is not new, but because it's new here, even using that brand name, it's a challenge.
Okay, maybe you should make it more elaborate. What does a life coach do?
Okay, being a life coach, it encompasses quite a number of things, and you have to most times you have to have an area of specialization.
Okay.
We have life coaches that concentrates on behavioral, on attitudinal correction. We have life coaches that majors on engaging teenagers. We have life coaches that engages on engaging the very young kids. We have life coaches that engages on relationship alone.
Okay, so where's your focus?
We do personal and business coaching.
Okay.
Basically, that's
more of the behavioral.
That's more of the behavioral, and then we tend to shift towards the business. So it's more of behavioral that has to do with personal, because the personal coaching is interwoven with business because it's people that you employ to work in your business. So our coaching has to do with personal, and that's why we say we are more people oriented, and we tend to work with the business as well.
All right, so do you train other people to become life coaches, to become business consultants, and to do all these things that you do?
Yes, we do, and everyone that is an aspiring life coach or business consultant, you can reach out to us here and we will help you walk that path gradually and get better.
All right, tell us about your forthcoming training so that we can wrap up.
Okay, our forthcoming trainings that we've been creating a lot of awareness for. It's not just it's actually ongoing, though let's say forthcoming.
Okay,
because
it's already going
on.
Okay.
And the way we do it now is we are creating a lot of awareness and reaching out to schools generally, proprietors and proprietresses of schools and school administrators to engage us in equipping their teachers better. And the way we do the engagement is we work out a calendar or a time according to the calendar of the school. Okay. So what we do is we engage them in their school. They give us a proper learning space, maybe in their classroom or something to engage them in. So they can always reach out to us and then we'll come around to engage them.
All right, give your phone numbers out.
Okay, our phone number is 080553455 again 23.
Okay, you can take that again.
080553455 5523.
All right. Your email address, or you want to give out your social media handle?
Yes, social media handle. My personal, I'll give my personal and the company's.
Okay.
David Olayiwola, that's for Instagram. Then on Facebook, David Oladele Olayiwola. Then for both Instagram and Facebook for the company is Fortune World Consulting.
All right.
Just Fortune World Consulting.
Thank you so much, David Olayiwola.
You can also our website www.fortuneworldconsulting.com.
All right, www.fortunewealthconsulting.com. Thank you so much for being on the show this evening.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, I've been speaking with David Olayiwola, CEO of Fortune Wealth Consulting, right here on Business Hub, where we link up business owners with their target markets. My name is Omobolanle Adeshui. Remember that this show will be up on YouTube at IATV Africa, so you can catch up on this edition right there, even after watching it on IATV. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.